Good morning, everybody. How you doing? It's wee Paddy from across the shock, and this is a different kind of a video. It's not a video on anything in particular, other than a chat to Western knife companies. And when I say Western, I'm going to clump China as the main producer of knives that are probably sold worldwide. And our Western companies, be that America, the UK, where I am, Europe, just the makers around the world outside of China. It's China have a great way of getting products out to the world, whether you want them or not. Let's be honest, a lot of the bigger manufacturers around the world, and you probably have to use America this, they don't want to buy Chinese, but they have an ability of getting their knives. No matter what you think of their politics, no matter what you think of their labour, them things are not becoming as important now as they used to be. You can knock them as much as you like, but as salespeople, as people who find a way of getting a product at whatever price into your marketplace, they will do it. And I respect their ingenuity at doing things like that. They can make the world forget about how they treat their labour force and still get the product onto your table. There's not many other countries in this world can do that. So whether you like it or not, it's being done. And our knife community, which if we're really honest, the knife community in YouTube is very small. It was funny, I was on a podcast with Ray on Everyday City Carry, and we were just talking about the knife community hasn't really gone mad, because not knives are a very emotive subject, especially at the moment worldwide with deaths and killings and whatever. And I know that's not the knives, that's the people, but it's a fact. So we're not a huge community. We're growing, but what I would like to see is the community bring itself just back to itself a bit. We're now paying the Chinese, or are we? This is part of the question. We're now paying proper Western prices for Chinese knives. So, are they raising the price to us before, retail? Are they raising the price to us? Or are we just overcharging for a knife that we're getting at a silly price? And that's my question to the companies, because I'm not sure anymore. I don't know. And this is what this is about. I want this video to go out. And, I would nearly like it to be a tag video where people give their perspective, because we all have different views on it. And it can be to do with your financials, your financial state. It can do with how you think of politics. It can view how you think of world politics and how things are spread throughout the world. But this is just Paddy's little version. And I've broke down today some prices of knives that we buy here in the UK that are American-based companies, and because they're the biggest companies, that I know. So I'm only speaking about what I know and what I found out in the community and the companies that I respect and buy knives from. Because I'm by no means a rich person. Last year I went buck mad. I had some extra money and I spent more money than I ever thought I would on knives. But that's because I chose to, and I had the money. I normally save up for my knives on a monthly basis, and I buy and I keep within that budget. I don't touch my house money for knives. That's the one thing that I would advise any newcomer coming in. Don't get in debt for knives. This is a hobby, and it's a great hobby, and you can do it in a budget, because that's the way I started. And I still like budget knives. I still enjoy the passion in finding a good budget knife. So, that being said, today I just went on. Here's 4 knives sitting down here that are two of the top companies. Now, I know you've got Kershaw, I know you've got other, but these are the 2 I've chosen, because these are, how can we say it? The knives that I picked are middle of the road knives to a knife lover. They're very expensive to a lot of people who would never spend this much money on these 4 knives. But to us in the knife community, these are middle of the range that everybody wants for the collection. There's nothing over special about them in our eyes. In our eyes, there's nothing special about them. But I just wanted to do a comparison of European prices compared to American prices. And I'm doing this for a point, and the point will be clear, hopefully, very shortly. A Spyderco Delica, I priced these this morning, is £90 over here, roughly, and that would be $112. Would you, as an American, spend $112 on a Delica? A Para 3 is £160 over here, just for a G10 Para 3. That's $205. Would you spend that on a Para 3? This one really hit me. This is a 940 in the original color. Sorry, not the G10. The aluminium frame is £226 over here. That's $281 for a 940. Would you spend that? This, now, it's a clone because I don't have the mini grip anymore. I did have a mini grip. I had one of the more expensive ones. But just a basic mini grip over here is £120, which is $150. Would you spend that on a mini grip? And the answer, I'm sure, for a lot of you Americans would be, no, I wouldn't spend that. But here's the other side of it, coming from a European perspective. We have no choice. That's what price they are over here. That is the price you have to pay if you want them. So, my thoughts and my process are going to come back to this. I've put other European knives down here. Like, this is a Michael May Custom, which costs about 130, 140. Lovely knife, but the quality is not always there. The fit and finish sometimes isn't great. And that's just the truth. I know I pushed him for a while, but I found out through other people that it's not always there. Here's a GEC knife. The quality is amazing, but there's one dealer in the UK down south who doesn't have a shop who he doesn't push the company at all. And I know I'm not going to name him because that's not what I'm here to do, but I believe the likes of GEC, let's get back to that. Here's a French company, a German-made Boker. So this is made in France. So the European knives, and they're reasonably priced. This is just an ordinary Barlow. And this ranges from sort of about £60 compared to a GEC, which is about 120 over here, minimum, if you can get one. And let me tell you, it's very few people can get a GEC over here. They're normally gone before we get them. It's secondary market prices. But so there is good European companies that make a good standard. This Leol is just beautiful. This Boker is just a fantastic, the fit and finish, made in Solingen, Germany. So we have knives in Europe, mostly obviously non-locking. But I just believe that in this time, with this pandemic and everything's going on, I would love if more people done this video, that maybe some of the companies would understand how to... I think we need to push our own brands, like these brands. The prices you pay in America is much better. If you have map pricing for a lot of the companies, a lot of people maybe don't like that. I think it's great. But I believe that there's a way of bringing your knives over to Europe and putting a map pricing on them. There must be a way of doing it. Yes, you might lose a bit of money in the transition and paying the taxes for them to come over here. But I'm thinking the quantity you will sell, and the more people we're going to get into the hobby because they can buy better knives at a reasonable price, I think the companies will make money. Because if you're selling a larger quantity, yes, you can afford to lose a bit of your, it is your profit, I suppose, but you can afford to lose a bit because you're going to make it back in quantity. And I think that's where I would love to see more help between maybe governments, but also between people demanding that we do this, that we, not demanding, I'm not maybe picking the right words. Look, I have no notes written about this. It's just a thought process that goes in my head because I'm locked up in the house all day. But if maybe you can see what I mean. And the reason that then people start to go for clones, which again are coming from China, is because the price range of these is just getting a bit silly. It really is just getting a bit silly. And now, that's okay for us small minority, and the YouTube community is a small minority who buy the higher end knives. I don't believe that makes up a big percentage of Benchmade or Spyderco's income. I believe they're good knives that people want. And I think the word's not getting out in Europe that knives are a tool, and there's something you can collect, there's something you can take pride in. We're sort of closed down on knives, and I think this is an opportunity where, people like Spyderco Benchmade could maybe their slip joints, like their proppers and that, bring them over, but give us map pricing more related to what you pay in the States. Maybe you do have to drop the price a bit to pay for the taxes or whatever, the shipping and all, but it will bring more people into the hobby. And if we're actually showing the knives on our channel more, surely that's going to promote them, because YouTube is basically, the knife community is America. I mean, let's not joke about it. It's based on America. So even if we are in Europe, if we're showing your knives from your companies, they're going to gain the benefit from everywhere heading back to you. So the profit is going to be there. And I just really feel strongly that European companies, there's very few of them left. There's very few half-decent companies. And we have the Sheffield makers, but their quality is just, they make a lovely product, but their fit and finish and their checking on their quality is not there. They need to up their game. And I think if more people do videos like this, maybe they'll sit back and think, well, maybe we will. I mean, their prices are not bad compared to other places, but I just think if you want to promote your product, you just have to in this day and age. Fit and finish is king. You're judged on fit and finish. Like GEC is setting a benchmark throughout the world. Boker is setting a benchmark. Leguel are setting a benchmark. But I believe us British are just lagging behind. All our companies are disappearing. Now, I know we have a lot of custom makers, and I don't want to knock them because their products are great. But that's a price range again that's gone beyond the normal person. The reason why somebody who wants a Delica, who sees a Delica on YouTube, especially over in Europe maybe, but it's £90, $112, where I can buy a Ganzo for a tenner. I can buy this for a tenner. It's 440C or HCR13. I know Ganzo are not particularly honest sometimes on their steel, but it's still a steel that's workable, usable, sharpenable. I recommend these to anybody. These are an amazing, for £10. The fit and finish is just outstanding on a regular basis. So I can understand why somebody over here would buy that rather than that. But if that was at the American price, which is what, about $60, so it's going to come over here at about $75, that would be a much more affordable and better knife for somebody to get than this. Plus the fact we're keeping our economy, or your economy, going. But again, if the prices are coming down, I'm hoping that maybe companies around the rest of the world will start making knives again, because it is becoming a very closed shop of where knives are made, especially knives that the public want. America is ruling, and that is fine because they're the ones who are putting their money on the line and making it. So that's not what I'm saying. I mean, that over here, this 940 is $281, where I can go on AliExpress, and this is a G10 version. I can buy this for 20 quid. HCR13 probably, or 440C, whatever. But it's 20 quid. So I'm getting to hold, I know it's a different blade shape, but I got this just for comparison videos. I use these just as I use mine now as comparisons to put down against other knives. I always state that's not real, it's a clone, but I haven't got one of the real ones at the minute. I did have, and I have bought them, so I have no problems. It's not that I don't buy, but I can't keep buying all the time, especially at the prices over here. So, I mean, there's that 20 quid, so I can get that for 20 quid. This is a mini grip. This is just amazing. The quality on this is just amazing. £15. So, if you're coming around, what are you going to be tempted to buy? Are you going to be tempted to buy, which I'm sure a mini grip is under £100 in America, or £15 for this? I mean, that's a big jump in prices, and I know there'll always be people who'll only buy that. But if I thought that I could get a mini grip for £90, for $90, whatever that's going to be in the UK, I think, God, I'm sure yours are cheaper. They're well under 100. But that mini grip here, what have I got down for the mini? The mini grip is £120. So that's $150. Would you pay $150? No. So you're encouraging people like myself, not encouraging, that's wrong. Again, please don't take me on individual words. This is a thought that's just in my head. If this was at a reasonable price at under £100, it would encourage people to save up and buy it. But when you're putting it at 120, it's just too much. It is just too much for what that knife is. So is this not the time? And if we can sort of get together as a knife community and start breaking away from this Chinese hold that they have. And look, I buy the Chinese knives, one, because the quality is great, but you've got companies like Drop at the minute who are getting the knives made in China, bringing them over, selling them in the States, or around the world. Drop is now. Why don't we start our own? Why don't the Western companies start their own, like Benchmade? For 1 month, they'll do the 940 at a drop price. They'll do this for, at, I don't know what, again, over here it's £226. But if they'd done that to me for a year, they do a batch of, say, 200 on drop for 150, they would be sold in seconds. They would be sold in seconds over here. So, I mean, to me, drop is now of that type of thing, but we could do our own. The Western companies could do their own, where they sell just Western knives, and each company puts in an offering from theirs at a reduced price to bring people in, into that company. This Para 3, would you spend $205 on a Para 3? It's not worth it. I'm sorry. It's a great knife, but it's worth it to me because it's all I can get it. This is the price. 160 is what I can get a G10 Para 3 at. So, I mean, if I want it, I have to get it. So I save and I get it. Not a problem. Not a problem. I'm not moaning about me. I'm very lucky that I can save a few quid and get it. I understand that. A real world problem. The world's falling apart and I'm worrying about knives. But the difference between me and a high-end collector and a low-end collector is the gap is starting to form. The middleman is starting to disappear, and you're getting high-end collectors and budget collectors. That middleman is starting to go, and he's the one that will keep it going. He is the one. How many people can go out and spend £500, which is, this in dollars cost me $590. Is it worth it? No. I paid £475 for it. Yeah? It's stupid price, but I had the money at one stage for last year of my life, and I wanted something unusual that I could have for my collection that not everybody had. And I chose this, an American-made knife by an American company, and it's wildly expensive, but I love it. And I don't regret buying it at all. I love it. So I'm not somebody who's just going to buy a cheap knockoff. I will do both because I use them in my collection as a knife nerd who runs a YouTube channel. Here's another, just for sake of a company. There's a Hinderer. $370 this costs you over here. It's a slippy Hinderer. Do you know what I mean? It's not worth that sort of money, but it is to me. This is my sentimental knife, and if you go back, you'll see why. I don't regret buying it for a second. So what I'm not saying is I just want cheap knives. I don't mind paying for quality, but the quality and the prices that's being charged abroad is too much. You're pushing us away, and I want to come into that thing. So the likes of like an American Drop that is just for American knives, that to me is going to push the Chinese market that way. Because then you're going to get the people who are more loyal to the country, to Europe, because money does talk. And if the Chinese are producing knives that are better than yours or equal to, I mean, people are just going to go to them for the price. But now they're even charging us just as much. And I just don't understand. I hear people knocking the Chinese budget knives. Oh, that's ridiculous. Don't buy that. I mean, that's not a clone of a Delica. It's different than a Delica. Do you know what I mean? It's not a Delica. But now the Chinese knives are coming in and they're copying shapes, sizes of all our knives, and people are buying them at the same price as an American company. So is now not the time for companies and us to do videos like this where companies can watch and maybe get ideas that they haven't thought of, like an American drop, where you only buy American equipment, or you only buy, you know, Europe. Why do we not do a drop where we'll get, European knives, and we can do them in America at a price that's not inflated by the swapping across? And I just think there's room for some sort of, I'm not a businessman. I don't know how it works. I just know that the prices are getting ridiculous. And this middleman, who I think I am, I'm somewhere in the middle. I've got high-end knives, but most of my collection is everyday knives that knife lovers, I'm talking about knife lovers and not the public, just the everyday knives I love. And I love doing videos about them. I love collecting them, especially my traditionals. I just love that. But I just feel that we're either going to be pushed this way or this way, and the middleman goes, and he's the one that provides the money. He's the one that gives the money into the community to keep it going, because he's buying. The middleman is buying. The higher end man is buying one knife maybe a month of a really high quality, whereas your middleman's buying 4 knives or 3 knives, or the budget man's buying 3 or 4 knives at his. They're the ones who are going to keep the numbers up. And somewhere along the line, it's getting confused. And I think now is the time when there is a chance for companies to think outside the box a bit. Again, I'm going to go back to, I just think it's a US only drop, where it's just US companies, and they can do wallets, pens, knives, all the things that we love as EDCers or knife communities, and put them on offer. Just one of your knives on offer, and sell, 500 of them. And you don't have to sell it. People put their name down for them. They put the money in, and they'll get them in, when you've made them, if you like. So you're not having to take a big gamble, because we'll trust Benchmade if they say, we'll make that when it hits the 500. And you get it at that reduced price. That's going to bring more people into the community. It's going to bring more people into knives that they maybe wouldn't, because that jump from budget to middle range knives is huge. That is huge. When you convince somebody like me, let me tell you, I thought that prices, I can remember comparing these. This is my first video. I've said this over and over again. My wife bought me this for Christmas. I got this off AliExpress a couple of weeks later, and I thought, oh my goodness, why did I pay that much for that when I could get that? And that is the attitude of a lot of people out there. So to get them to change, to see the quality and the difference that you get from buying a US made knife, that's the way to do it, is do things like drop, bring people in gradually. Are Benchmade going to lose a lot of money? No. They'll cost them a wee bit in postage. We pay the tax here. But if they drop the price enough that it's going to be below 200 and, what did I say, 281 for that, $281, surely they can get me that to me in the UK for cheaper than $281. So I suppose this is a bit of a European rant, but it's also a thing that I just think that I hear an awful lot of people talking. It's like they just blame clones and everything. Clones don't do anything to the market. They don't do. The Chinese bringing their high-end knives and their middle-range knives into the market are going to kill off our companies, and we're letting them do it by continuing. And I do it. I buy them because their quality is good. So we either have to up our quality or change our strategy at getting our knives out into the community, because it's swamped with Chinese at the minute. So my sort of suggestion for all this, for all that waffle, is an American drop system, a European drop system, a mixture of both, but keeping it Western companies who pay their workers a fair wage that we all go on about, but we don't care about in reality, because we're buying all the Chinese knives. As a community, we're buying Chinese knives. So how can we say, oh, I care about the workers? Well, let's do care about the workers. We're standing up for our NHS and our hospitals at the moment. Well, let's care about our own work. Let's care about our own workforce. So if we don't do something about it, I just fear that it's going to get ever so decreasing until, like all the telephones, nearly every telephone in the world is made in China. Do you know what I mean? We're just going in that route that will happen. I mean, but look, it's an open debate. I would love to know what you think down below. But more importantly, I love other knife YouTubers. Make your video. What do you think? How could you solve the solution of China taking over the knife industry? This was just one of mine. And I would love to other YouTubers, please come on, tell me what you think. Think of something like a drop, like I do. Mine's the drop, but make it just US, or make it Western drop, non-China drop. You can't buy a Chinese knife here. Drop. That's what I want, so that the little smaller companies can get in on it too, where it's going to be, leather products, pens, whatever. Let's do that, but non-China. So there you go. And there's nothing wrong with China. China's a lovely place with lovely people. But I'm just sick and tired of hearing them getting the blame for everything when it's us who are not doing anything about it. China are just marketing geniuses, and they've got a train that keeps rolling and keeps going on. And you have to respect them for doing that, even though maybe their model is not what we would use in the Western society. But you have to, they will do it. And they will want to take over, like telephones. They will want to take over. So, come on, let's see. Let's get some other options. Because if we put the options in the plate, maybe one of the companies will take us up on that. Maybe one of the companies will take us up on that. All right, that's wee Paddy's rant for today. Look, stay safe, stay well. The most important thing is to love each other, take care of each other in this world pandemic that is just breaking families apart and breaking hearts. Stay together. This means nothing, really. This is just a debate. Don't get angry over it. Don't get angry. Think of a way that you could maybe help cure it, rather than be angry at me for what I've put down. I'm not doing this to spite anybody. I'm not doing this to make anybody feel guilty. I'm doing this because I just think we need ways of keeping the Western knife community working and going. That's it. Paddy's gone. Cup of tea time. All the best. Bye now.